I was driving alone that night. The highway stretched endlessly before me, a ribbon of cracked asphalt swallowed by the dark. The only sound was the low hum of my engine and the faint hiss of tires on the road. My radio had given up hours ago, leaving me in silence, trapped with my own thoughts. First heard it. Faint at first, so faint I thought it was my imagination, a lilting melody drifting through the air. A carnival tune, you know the one, cheerful, repetitive, like a carousel spinning forever. Only this tune was warped somehow, slowed down, like a record playing at the wrong speed. I leaned forward, squinting into the distance, and then I smelled it. Patriotism. Fresh, hot popcorn. That didn't make sense. I was in the middle of nowhere, nothing but farmland and abandoned lots for miles in every direction. But the smell was real, sweet, buttery, impossible to ignore. Relinquid. And then, light. Just over the hill, faint bulbs flickering in a patch of night sky. Reds, blues, yellows. Zimmel. I don't know why, but my hands turned the wheel before my mind could stop them. I took the exit, my headlights sweeping across a dirt path leading down into a wide, empty field. At least, it should have been empty. Instead, it was alive. Unresolved in the field like it had always been there. Strings of bulbs flickered and buzzed, a Ferris wheel turned slowly against the horizon, and tents loomed like great striped beasts. The midway stretched ahead of me, lined with stalls and booths, everyone glowing with warm, welcoming light. But the strangest part? And were no cars, no ticket booths, no crowds of families or teenagers clutching cotton candy. It was alive, but I was the only one there. I parked my car near the edge of the field and stepped out. The night air was thick, heavy with the mingling scents of popcorn, candied apples, and fried dough. My shoes crunched over gravel as I walked closer. In the distance, a barker's voice rang out, booming through the empty midway. "Step right up! Step right up! We've been waiting for you!" I froze. "Hello?" I called out. My voice echoed strangely, stretching farther than it should have. "Is anyone here?" For a long moment, there was silence. And then, faintly, I heard it again. The barker's voice. "Come on in. We've been waiting." My throat went dry. The sound was coming from deeper inside the carnival. And that's when I saw the carousel. It spun slowly at the end of the midway, its painted horses bobbing up and down. Its lights blazed brighter than any others, a kaleidoscope of gold and red chasing themselves in dizzying circles. But it wasn't the horses that made me stop cold. It was the riders. They weren't children. They weren't people at all. And mannequins, dozens of them. Their stiff bodies sat frozen in perfect posture, their glass eyes wide, their mouths painted in permanent smiles. As the carousel turned, a few heads twitched unnaturally, snapping toward me. And their smiles stretched wider. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my own feet. The music from the carousel grew louder, faster, warped into a manic frenzy. Then the lights began to flicker. One buzzed and popped, casting the midway in stuttering flashes of light and shadow. The Ferris wheel groaned, turning faster and faster, its rusted frame screeching. The air changed. The sweet smell of popcorn soured, thick and acrid, like burnt sugar mixed with smoke and something metallic, blood maybe. And then the barker's voice boomed again, this time right behind me. "Your turn." I spun around. There, in the shadows between two striped tents, stood an opening I hadn't noticed before. A large entrance flap swayed in the wind, striped fabric glowing faintly from within. The smell pouring out was stronger, sickly sweet, suffocating.
Every instinct in me screamed to run, but my feet moved forward on their own, pulled toward the tent. Films lifted as if welcoming me, and I stepped inside. Inside was darkness, thick, suffocating, absolute. For a moment I thought tangled strings, but then I began to walk with fluid confidence, each step echoing on the wooden floor of the tent. Its grin never faltered. Behind me, the carnival roared to life. I could hear it, screams, laughter, the pounding of drums, the crackle of fireworks exploding in the night sky. But when I had been outside moments ago, the grounds were empty, silent, dead. The shadows pressed against the canvas walls of the tent. Dozens, no, hundreds of shapes, some tall and thin, some crouched and crawling. Their outlines shifted as though they were waiting, crowding closer. The other me stopped just inches away. Its breath reeked of sugar and rot. "Come on," it whispered in my own voice, tilting its head. "It's your turn to join the show." It held out its hand. The skin on its palm was wrong, thin and translucent, veins pulsing beneath the surface. When it flexed its fingers, the skin cracked, peeling back in wet ribbons. I stumbled backward, shaking my head. No, I don't belong here. The tent lights exploded above me with a pop. Darkness swallowed everything except the spotlight on the chair, and the chair was empty. A hand gripped my shoulder. I screamed, spinning around. The double was behind me now, its face inches from mine. Its eyes were pits, blacker than the night, and in their depths I saw movement, tiny, writhing shapes crawling, fighting, biting. Its grin widened until the corners of its mouth to the teever of the chair. Its grin isn't mannered of engineering, they were fight the strings, but it worst by highlight and itselves. Its grin was justed, the liddest to the air. I biggest, grin widened until the corners of its mouth tore, blood trickling down its chin. "You do now." The floor collapsed beneath me. I fell, not through dirt, not through wood, but through air, an endless drop. Lights spiraled around me, carnival bulbs flickering past in dizzying streaks. My stomach lurched as laughter and screams echoed in my ears, louder and louder, until I couldn't tell if they were outside or inside my head. When I landed, it wasn't with a crash, but with a sickening softness, like falling onto damp flesh. Thundered, trembling. "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tonight's new attraction has arrived." I raised an arm to shield my eyes. I surged closer, their faces stretching into grotesque smiles, their hands reaching, fingers stiff and splintering. I tried to run. I shoved through the mannequins, their bodies clattering, limbs snapping, but more took their place. I screamed until my throat tore. Ahead, I saw the Ferris wheel. Its seats swung wildly as it spun faster, faster, the creak of metal rising to a shriek. Something was in one of the cars. A figure sat slumped in the seat, head hanging. My chest froze when I recognized it. It was me. Paler, hollow, eyes wide and lifeless, mouth open in a silent scream. My double, again, but this time limp, lifeless, rotting. "No," I whispered. Barracan's hands gripped my arms, my legs, dragging me backward. Their laughter filled my ears. My vision blurred. The barker's voice rose triumphant. "What to the carnival?" When I woke, I was sitting in the chair again. The something burned above me. My body was stiff, my face ached. I tried to move, but my jaw was locked, stretched in a wide grin that split the corners of my mouth. I wasn't breathing. I didn't need to. My hands were stiff, my skin cold and smooth. The tent flap opened. A new visitor stepped inside, blinking in confusion. Their footsteps echoed as they entered the light. And I realized the truth. I was no longer a guest. I was part of the carnival. Another mannequin, another prize, another attraction waiting for the next lost soul to wander in off the highway. The carnival never leaves. It waits. And it always finds someone new.